from the London Contemporary School of Piano. Today we're going to talk about the blues piano. Firstly, I'm going to show you how a 12-bar blues is constructed. So a 12-bar blues has 12 bars in it and just 3 chords. Obviously with a few opportunities to add a few more if you'd like. But the main 3 chords that are used in a 12-bar blues are chords 1, 4, and 5. Sounds very classical, doesn't it? Mozart's very chord 1, 4, and 5. So how does blues sound different to something like Mozart? Well, it's built on the same foundations, these primary chords, but it's just the way it's stylized and decorated. For instance, we're going to make all of these chords, 1, 4, and 5, dominant 7 chords. We're going to add an extra note to it. 7 notes up from the root of the chord. But not 7 notes up in the scale itself, meaning that basically when you have an octave, I just drop that top note in the octave down a tone, or 2 semitones, a whole note, and I get this bluesy sound. I do the same thing for the C, chord 4, so I've got G7, chord 1, C7, chord 4, and D7, chord 5. So, onto the structure of a 12-bar blues. We have 4 bars of chord 1, 2 bars of chord 4, 2 bars of chord 1, then 1 bar of chord 5, 1 bar of chord 4, and 2 bars of chord 1. And that should add up to 12 bars. So let's do that again. I added a couple of extra chords there, but you get the picture. So let's create some bass patterns. The great thing about practicing blues, even if you don't listen to a great deal of blues piano, let's say you're a classical pianist and you don't have much knowledge of blues and jazz, blues is really worth persevering and practicing with because it's really good for your left hand. That's the first real big thing you're going to gain from it. Obviously, the joy of playing this music as well. Putting that aside, there's really good technical returns for playing this music as well, in the sense that it's so good for your left hand. So I'm going to show you a couple of good left-hand blues patterns using this dominant 7 chord pattern. And this is a bit of a rock and roll one. Break that down and do that slowly for you. So that's the G7, then the C7, then the G7 again, D7, C7, G7, and add some right hand now. And the right hand, I call these stabs, that's the name for it, where you just bring in some notes from the chord and you don't actually have to play all of the notes in the chord because it just sounds a little bit formal. So you can actually just play shells of the chord and just grab 2 notes, the 3rd and the 7th note of the chord. Sounds particularly funky. So I might do a bit of that. Anyway, let's try it. excited there. I'm going to show you a few more things. My goodness me, this 1910 Blüthner grand piano, it's over 100 years old. It can really boogie, can't it? So let me show you a couple of more blues tricks that you can try with a progression like this. Let's talk a bit about the blues scale. Now, the blues scale is a wonderful combination of notes. Let me play those notes again. G, B flat, C, C sharp, D, F and G. I think the blues scale is quite a difficult scale to learn at first. It's not as symmetrical as our traditional major and minor scales. So it may take you a little bit of getting used to. But the great thing about the blues scale is that once you put all these notes together, and you start messing with them, and you start making some noise with them, you can't really go wrong. Are quite fun. You just get 3 notes from the blues scale and give it a shake. Literally, just relax and shake your hand. And little things like that. Simple to do, but they're really, really effective. So, we were talking about the blues scale. But it's not just the blues scale. One of the most beautiful things about blues piano, it's what I absolutely love about the language of blues, is the combinations of different cultures around the world. Really, this music is about bringing people together, and it's the same with scales. The blues scale, combined with the traditional Western classical scale, is a secret sauce. It just sounds so wonderful together. So we get, let's say, a G major scale. Now, if we did this, perhaps, it's just a bit limited. We could do much more with it. So we can then integrate the 2 scales together. The first thing we can do to the Western classical major is drop the 7th note. Take it down a semitone. It's a bit more rock and roll now. And then we can move, and the name of this scale, with the flattened 7th, is called the Mixolydian scale, if you want to speak a bit of Greek. I just call it drop the 7. Drop the 7. Simple as that. You can do this in any major scale. Drop the 7. It just gives it a bit of funkiness. So, we've dropped the 7th, and we can combine that with the blues scale. So I can go between this major Mixolydian scale into the blues. And I can integrate the 2 together, and then I get all of these really cool riffs I can start adding to my playing. It's good to sing a bit as you're doing it, to sing the note, respond to it. But just to really feel the differences of those scales and the coming together of the languages in the music. should keep you busy this weekend.
I have put together a special improvisation PDF summary and chord cheat sheet of these tips and tricks for those of you who wish to improve your creative piano playing. To receive your download, you can visit contemporaryschoolofpiano.com and ask us for the Stingray Music Series pack, and we will send you the material with our compliments.